Now, Fox News is usually extremely trustworthy, and they do a really good job of maintaining fair and balanced news coverage. Every once in a while, though, they have to get smacked down and get smacked back because one of their reporters either is misrepresenting something or just may have a misunderstanding of it. Either which way, members of the Trump administration, whether it be on CNN, NBC, MSNBC, which they never bring any conservatives on. As a matter of fact, in 2025, MSNBC have had 0 conservative guests. But I digress from that. But Stephen Miller, while on Fox News, going at it with this reporter, had to kind of put the reporter in place and make sure that the reporting that he was doing was accurate. So I thought this was a really good segment. I wanted to bring it to you, let you check it out, and kind of get your feedback on it. So I'm going to let Stephen Miller get into this, and you tell me what you think about it. But check out Stephen Miller with the Fox News anchor.
Number one, DOJ said a federal court cannot compel the executive branch to engage in any mandated act of diplomacy or incursion upon the sovereignty of another nation. So your argument is that you don't have to bring him back home, but will you?
So I want to correct, I hate to do it, Bill, but I got to correct you on every single thing that you said because it was all wrong. First, we won the Supreme Court case, clearly, 9-0. A district court judge said unconscionably that the president and his administration have to go into El Salvador and extradite one of their citizens, an El Salvadorian citizen, so that would be kidnapping. But we have to kidnap an El Salvadorian citizen against the will of his government and fly him back to America, which would be an unimaginable act and an invasion of El Salvador's sovereignty. So we appealed to the Supreme Court, and it said clearly, no district court can compel the president to exercise his Article 2 foreign powers in any way whatsoever. DOJ called me after that Supreme Court ruling, and they said, this is amazing. We won this case 9-0. We are in excellent standing here. So this has been portrayed wrong for 72 hours in the media. They said the most a court could ever compel you to do would be to facilitate return, which would basically mean if El Salvador voluntarily sends him back, we wouldn't block him at the airport. We would put him back into ICE detention, and then he would be deported either back to El Salvador or somewhere else. The Supreme Court said that is the most the government can be expected to do. So we won the case handily. The misreporting on this has been atrocious.
Okay,
Secondly,
I appreciate
he was not, no, Bill, it's important. He was not mistakenly sent to El Salvador.
Okay, so do you still
He's
believe
an illegal alien from El Salvador. Hold on, this is important. Mm-hmm. In 2019, he was ordered deported. He has a final removal order from the United States. These are things that no one disputes. Where is he from? El Salvador.
Now, one thing that the media, the liberal media, doesn't talk about is the fact that he is an El Salvadorian citizen. He was judged to be deported twice. He was in front of 2 judges that ruled that he cannot stay in America, and that there was some reasoning why the Biden administration did not want him deported back to El Salvador. You know what that was? It's because of the activities that he participated in prior to leaving El Salvador with the older regime. There was another regime in there before Bukele took over and cleaned it up. And apparently these MS-13 gang members allegedly were working on behalf of the other government to keep Bukele from office. And so they all fled because they knew that they were facing prosecution for the crimes they committed. It'd be like somebody in America committing a crime, a vicious crime against a citizen here or against a politician, and then fleeing to Canada or going to, I don't know, any Australia or something, and believing that, hey, it's all good, I'm done. But then when that country boots them out and sends them back to America to face justice, all of a sudden, Australia can come and say, no, give us back your citizen. We want him back. It doesn't work like that in foreign policy. And they for doggone sure aren't going to mess up any, diplomatic relationships for a MS-13 gang member that's been labeled a terrorist. So Stephen Miller is doing exactly the right thing by making sure even Fox News is reporting it the way, because the last thing the Trump administration want is people running with the false narrative that somehow the Trump administration is ignoring a Supreme Court ruling when it was 9-0 saying the district court judge has no right to interfere with foreign policy of the executive branch. And then number 2, that individual can be deported. He can be deported, but to another country. But he's a member of El Salvador, and they shipped him back to El Salvador. So it's not like they sent him off to a whole nother country that he wasn't from and that, they had no ties to him. So it just amazes me how the lamestream media try to switch up this conversation and blatantly lie to manipulate how people view it.
Where is he a resident and citizen of? El Salvador. Is he here illegally? Yes. Does he have a deportation order? Yes. A DOJ lawyer who has since been relieved of duty, a saboteur, a Democrat, put into a filing incorrectly that this was a mistaken removal. It was not. This was the right person sent to the right place. Now, some have said, well, but he had a thing called a withholding order. So a withholding order means you've been ordered deported, but an immigration judge is saying you cannot go back to a particular country. Here's the thing. If you are a member of a foreign terrorist organization, you cannot have a withholding order. Since he's in MS-13, there is no withholding order. Furthermore, the gang that he is accused of being persecuted by doesn't exist anymore in El Salvador. The 18th Street gang is gone. So you have an illegal alien from El Salvador. Bill, where are we supposed to send the illegal alien from El Salvador?
You haven't even allowed me to ask you a question. Are you convinced he is still a member of MS-13? That was your original charge.
Yes. But here's the thing, Bill. Yes, but here, not only am I convinced of it, not only is El Salvador convinced of it, Bill, he's an illegal alien from El Salvador with the deportation order. So his only options in life, Bill, his only options in life are to be deported to El Salvador or to be deported to some other country. That's it. He has a deportation order. So, Bill, you tell me, what country should we deport him to? Tell me, please. Tell me.
So Marco Rubio on Sunday morning said this.
If you enjoyed this video, do me a solid. Would you hit that like button? Because I'll never ask for a cash app or a super chat, but you hitting that like button, it really does help the channel. And if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. And once you do, hit the notification bell and select all. That way, you'll be notified when I upload new videos. On the Real Politics Podcast, that's what we do. We talk real politics. So subscribe. Okay, now you heard how Stephen Miller handled that. Stephen Miller, is it me or does he have this weird like quirk thing that he does that kind of is just a little trippy, but he does not mess around and he's extremely loyal to President Trump. But let's get into something else that's going on the heels of that. So right now, you know, the Democrat Party is never one to miss out on an opportunity to die on the wrong hill. So right now we've got Democrat senators, one Democrat senator, Chris Van Hollen, that says that he's going to go to El Salvador and he's going to bring Garcia back. That's right. He feels he, as a senator, is going to go into a foreign country and he's going to tell the president of El Salvador what he better do. Matter of fact, he's even written a letter here that he wrote to the ambassador over there of El Salvador. But even most importantly, check out this video of him laying out what he plans on doing. And I don't know how he thinks that he, you know, is just somebody that's going to overstep the president of the United States, overstep the president of El Salvador, and he's got the juice to bring this man back home. So let's check out this Democrat senator as he spews his propaganda, and he does what he can to sure up more votes for re-election, because that's all this is grandstanding. Check this out.
Yeah, I guess we wanted to see if you had a response to the remark by the Salvadoran leader at the White House today that he would not help effectuate the return of the Marylanders.
Well, I just want to emphasize a couple points. Number one, the courts of the United States have determined, and the Trump administration has admitted, that he was wrongfully apprehended and illegally deported.
Now, right there, he starts off with a bold-faced lie. The Trump administration never admitted because he was not wrongfully deported. The only thing the order said that he received from two different judges, and it was under his quote-unquote asylum claim under the Biden administration, was to not send him back to El Salvador, but he can be deported to any country in the world. And I've never heard of this Van Hollen guy. Have you? As a matter of fact, it's funny how these nameless people find a hill to die on. You notice who he's got with him? He's got one congressional member, and then he's got one other senator of Congress, one of the members of the geriatric team that probably shouldn't even be a senator or a congressional member at all. Seems like he's extremely past his prime, but that's what they do. So he's a no-namer who wants to step out and make a name and die on the hill to bring back an illegal immigrant who's from El Salvador, who's the member of the MS-13 gang, who has been labeled a terrorist, and under the Aliens Enemies Act can legally be deported to their country of origin. And he feels he's going to tell the president of that country of origin what to do. It's how delusional these people are. Can you imagine if somebody was in another country and Trump told them that they were just going to go and just snatch that person out of their prisons and jails, what the Democrat Party would say about him being a global dictator? These people get on my nerves.
El Salvador, number one. They've admitted that that was a mistake.
No, they didn't.
So you've got a Maryland man who's the father of three.
He's an illegal immigrant.
Illegally detained in a notorious prison in El Salvador. And the Supreme Court, in a 9-0 decision, you don't see those very much, agreed with the lower federal court judge, Judge Zinnes, that he had been wrongfully detained and ordered the Trump administration to help facilitate his release. Now, I saw the comments of President Bukele, and I look forward to meeting with him. I've requested to meet with him. I reached out to the ambassador here to ask to meet while he's here. But I've also made clear if we can't meet here, I do intend to go to El Salvador to discuss the release of this individual who is illegally detained in El Salvador. And I believe the president of El Salvador will recognize why it's important to allow him to return to the United States of America. You know,
so this senator believes that he can go over and somehow sway the president of El Salvador to deal with him over President Trump as they're negotiating tariffs for his country. He believes that and if you notice, there's hardly any press out there because they know this is a BS grandstand that's going nowhere. And these folks get on my nerves with this fake virtue signaling.
The United States and El Salvador have had a strong relationship over many years. The United States provides lots of support to El Salvador. That support is not merely an issue for the executive branch. All of us, as members of the Appropriations Committee, also support whatever foreign assistance budget goes forward. So
in other words, you want to do blackmail. You want to hold him hostage, utilizing that to get your way. Again, it's a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican president, but yet the Democrats still feel like they run the show.
I believe that the president of El Salvador will reconsider when he understands the full story of this illegal detention. I don't think he wants to essentially be the president who's kidnapped the United States citizen. It was the fault of the Trump administration for sending him there illegally. But he shouldn't spend one extra day in a notorious prison in El Salvador when the president of El Salvador can let him go.
So they expect the president of El Salvador to do what they've done, which is defend criminals, baby killers, women assaulters, and put them ahead of the desires of the constituents who are tax-paying good members of society. They voted him in to get rid of the riffraff troublemakers, and he did just that. And now that one of them come home, they've been locked up. And so if you even heard the CNN reporter, Caitlin Collins, one of those reporters literally asked Bukele, hey, you know, were you sitting back? He said, no, why would I smuggle in a terrorist back into America? I can't do that. And then one of them said, well, what about releasing them in El Salvador? He said, I took El Salvador from being one of the most violent countries to the safest. And you want me to go backwards and release them back into the street to be more violent? That's preposterous. And it is. And the fact that this Democrat senator feels like he got the juice to go out and get some things done against the president's wishes, against the wishes of the American people. I hope we can vote this dude out of office, but it is Maryland, and we know how Maryland is. They love failing schools and high crime because they keep reelecting the same Democrat politicians over and over. But I just wanted to bring you this and show you how Stephen Miller went berserk on the Fox News anchor. And then the response to that with this Democrat senator deciding that he's got the juice and he gonna go make something happen, go around the president and attempt to hold the president of El Salvador hostage with appropriations, as if there's only Democrats on the Appropriations Committee, as if it's not a committee that's chaired by Republicans. So again, it's just virtual signaling, but hey, I thought it was entertaining and I wanted to share it with you. And like always, if you watched the video up to this point, I really do appreciate it. And if you would, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe and leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Most importantly, I want you to be safe, be great. Again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.